Hello, and welcome to my guided tour for my ETEC 590 ePortfolio. I created this site in order to fulfill the capstone experience requirements of the Masters of Educational Technology program at the University of British Columbia, seen here on this website. Initially, I began my studies in an entirely different program. My driving goal upon entering my first program was the desire to amass a wealth of resources, ideas, and skills in order to both enhance my teaching practice and enhance my students' learning experiences. After a year of study, I found that I felt static in my learning of content and self, and I was not reaching my personal goals as anticipated. I realized that in addition to my initial goals, I wanted to experience more challenges, which I believed in turn would afford me opportunity to explore and shape my teaching style. This realization prompted me to research other programs, which led me to MET. Through reflections and artifacts, this ePortfolio will showcase the challenges and successes, the individual learning, the connections I made within and across courses, as well as my ability to apply and link research theory to my professional practice. There are a few aspects that help to shape this construction process. First are the exploring questions I asked myself at the beginning, which are found here under the framework page under the heading The Purpose. An example of one of these exploring questions is, how do I intend to apply the knowledge and skills I've acquired during MET to my teaching practice? And I've discussed this in many of my pages in my site, as you will soon find out. Second, my ePortfolio highlights artifacts from both of my programs, and I wanted all artifacts to relate to my initial goal of enhancing my students' learning experiences, be it either in a traditional classroom or online setting. For example, every artifact, whether it be the artifact itself, what I learned from creating the artifact, or the type of technology used to create the artifact, has a place in making a more engaging learning experience for my students. So for example, for one of my artifacts, a concept map for ETEC 512, I used the computer software View and found it so engaging and such a great learning tool that I now use a similar program as often as I can and integrate it into as many of my face-to-face classroom lessons as possible. Lastly, even after my master's studies are completed, I hope that this EP can be used as an exemplar for future ETEC 590 students, and I discussed this in the audience section of the framework. And I also hope that it can be used as an ongoing platform where I can document my professional teaching development and growth. And I discuss this later in the checkout and beyond. So before I go into my metaphor and explain my site in more depth, I just want to discuss the platform I used. I used Wix.com to create this site. I chose this because I've never used it before, and I truly wanted this last MET experience to be a personal challenge in regards to the technology I was using. First off, for optimum viewing, please open my site either using Firefox or Google Chrome. If you're using a different browser, you may not be able to open my embedded links and videos. Also, if the text or formatting happens to look jumbled and scattered, please do the following. In your browser bar, you can go under View and choose Character Encoding, and then select Unicode UTF-8, and that should sort out any formatting or symbol issues that seem strange. Now, in terms of navigation, my site has a main menu bar here across the top of the page, and each of these is a section which is followed by subpages, and they go from left to right, top to bottom. So here you would start at home and down to the framework. Next, you would head over to the plan and go through these 3 courses, and then on to the essentials and so forth. You will find that at the bottom of each page is a bright blue button that says next, and this will actually take you to the next page in the section you're in or the following section. It will lead you through the site in order. There is also a blue back button at the bottom of each page that will take you to the previous page you were on. If at any time you want to go back to home, just click on home in the main menu bar. There are also internal and external links that are all bolded and blue. So for example, this link right here will take you to the MET homepage that I had up previously, and it will open in a new page for you. There are also artifacts I have that are linked through text in blue and bold For example, this reflection here. So when you click on it, it gives you the option to open the file, and you can view my artifact that way. Now I also have a rubric for this site, and that can be found again on the framework page down at the bottom, and you just need to click on this image in order to see the rubric in full view. So now on to my metaphor. The metaphor I chose for this e-portfolio is a grocery shopping trip. Because I switched programs halfway through my studies, I had a hard time on deciding on a metaphor that actually bridged both of my programs. Now, I finally settled on this as I was able to relate every aspect of a grocery shop, which is something I actually love to do, to my studies over the last 2+ years. And once I decided on my metaphor, I began the construction of my site. And there are 5 sections in addition to the home page, which again all relate to my metaphor. And these are the plan, the essentials, the impulse buys, the budget, and the checkout and beyond. I will explain these sections more in depth in a little bit. So if you click on a main section, for example, the plan, each section is going to begin with an introduction to the metaphor and how it relates to my learning and to the courses that I've included in this section, whether it was in MET or the first program that I was in. Each section highlights specific courses and the artifacts I created during this time, as well as the reflections that synthesize and integrate the skills, knowledge, and content from my learning journey. So obviously the first section here is the plan. Every time I go grocery shopping, I make a plan. I know where I'm going to go, I know how much time I have to shop, and what I'm going to buy. I had a plan as well when I began my master's. I'd roughed out which courses I was going to take, how long it would take me to complete the program, and what degree I would end up with in the end. And although this plan changed, this section still discusses the first 3 courses I took according to my original plan, and they are all face-to-face cohort courses, EDCP 523, EDCP 585, and EDCP 512/93A. The second section is called the essentials. When I'm grocery shopping, there are always basic necessities that I have to purchase. Products like milk and eggs that we always need in our household. In my metaphor, I relate 2 of the core MET courses as the essentials. And although there are 4 core courses total that each MET student must take, I only explore ETEC 511 and ETEC 510 here, relating how the essential foundation theories and content in these courses pave the way for the rest of the courses that followed in my MET journey. The next section I have is the impulse buys. This is the third part of my metaphor. These are the things that you buy. You don't really need them, but they just look so enticing. The impulse buys are never part of my original plan when I'm going grocery shopping, but they are always a worthwhile and exciting addition to my grocery cart. The electives I took during my studies are what I call these impulse buys. I never planned to take either one ahead of time. They just happened to interest me and fit into my timeline. I was only able to ever take 2 electives overall during my studies because of my switch, and one of these was a face-to-face elective on math assessment, EDCP 441A, and the next was an MET elective, ETEC 530. The next section is the budget. The budget of a grocery shop is a reality, and my portfolio also has a metaphorical budget. I had decided that in an effort not to overwhelm my audience and to make my e-portfolio more cohesive and concise, that I would only include a maximum of 2 artifacts per course. Therefore, in the budget, I describe both ETEC 512 and ETEC 500. These were 2 courses that I really wanted to include every assignment as an artifact, as they all seem so integral to my individual learning. But in the end, I decided to showcase only the most essential artifacts, such as my research proposal, which can be found here, in order to stick to my budget. The final section of my ePortfolio is the checkout and beyond. Here I discuss the building process of this ePortfolio and the journey through my final MET course, ETEC 590. In my mind, the checkout is not the end of the grocery shopping trip. You still need to get your purchases home, put them away, and decide when and how you're going to use them in the future. And the same goes for my learning journey. ETEC 590 is not the end of my professional development, so this section is where I discuss my present and future goals regarding both this ePortfolio and my personal teaching career. My final thought that is, although I started in a strictly face-to-face cohort and ended up finishing in an online setting, I feel fortunate that I'm coming away with numerous skills, resources, and approaches that can be integrated and implemented into both types of learning environments. Thank you for visiting my ePortfolio. I hope you enjoy it.